Hello, welcome back to the Kitchen Table Models Workshop. My name's Ian and this is the return from the Shelf of Doom. Oh yes, so 4 years ago you can see from my shoulder I started Revell's 132nd Heinkel He111 as a build. I got 4 episodes into it and this was a model that I picked up and started from, or should I say, continued from a started build. We've got 4 episodes into it and I kind of hit the brick wall, the mojo killer. I don't know what it was, but I just put it to one side and just got on with other builds. And it has languished in the cupboard on the Shelf of Doom for those 4 years since the last episode went out. And in the interests of actually completing some of my builds, because I do have a few kits in the Shelf of Doom, I thought, you know what, now's the time. I've finished a big build. That was the Revell Catalina in 48 scale. That kind of fired me up for it because that's one of Revell's larger kits, and it took a bit of work to get it nice, and I was kind of getting that interest going. Then I did Border Models 1/35 scale Spitfire Mark 5B, and just working with those larger scales aircraft, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to get it out of the cupboard and have a look at it. Well, I've had a look at it, and yep, my mojo's fired back up with it, and I am determined to get this kit finished. So what have we done, where are we at, and what do I need still to do to get it over the finish line? Well, actually I've done quite a lot. We'll bring the camera in a minute and have a look, but basically the cockpit's completed. I had the full Edard photo etch set for it, so the bomb bay has been converted to the Edard photo etch bomb bay. The rear cabin interior has been detailed and done. Obviously the full fuselage is together, as you can see, and I was at the stage of where I needed to get all the seam work done before I started working with the front glazing, and then ultimately exterior photo etch, and then on to paint. So I'd gotten a real long way through it, and I just hit this metaphorical brick wall and stalled the build. So I've gotten over that now, and I'm really excited to get on with this build and get it over the finish line and get it on the display shelf and cleared out of the Shelf of Doom. And hopefully this will give me the impetus to finish another build on the Shelf of Doom. That would be the AH-64D Apache Longbow, because that's another build that's just about there and just need to get over the finish line and get it out of the way, and then that clears me to finish some others. And if you're really interested in what I have on my Shelf of Doom or packed away half built, then let me know down below and I'll certainly have a look through, and if there's any of them you really want to see me finish, then we can have a bit of a poll and see what the thought of the viewers is. But ultimately we're going to focus on getting this 1/32 kit over the finish line and on the display shelf. So enough talking, let me reposition the camera. We'll get it over the kit and we'll actually look at where we're at and what the first sort of jobs are that I'm going to tackle to get this kit going again. So see you in a moment. So we're on the bench, and yes, this thing is absolutely massive. It's got a huge wingspan. It's actually bigger, far bigger than the Catalina I finished. But it's, it is what it is. It's actually quite a hard kit to find now. So it's another reason why I want to get this finished, because it is a really nice kit. And it does build up into a fantastic aircraft, and if you want to get it now, you're going to have to pay some seriously good money for it on eBay. So looking at the kit, you can see just how dusty and dirty it is. I had a piece of tape here stuck here with the instrument panel. So the instrument panel has had all its detail shaved away. It's had the photo etch on the rear, and all the instrument bezels have been drilled with the appropriate size lead wire taped up to replicate the actual wiring that was on the back of this. Now this actually goes into here in front of the pilot, so And that was another job that kind of stalled this for me. We've got the rear upper gun turret ring done, and we have the rear panel. Now this rear panel is going to be a friction fit, so you can remove it to have a look inside. And at the moment it doesn't just quite fit, purely because there was a small gap here, so I've put a piece of filler plastic in here, and I just need to work that back into shape. I had the same problem here on the front, but I did exactly the same, and that gave us a beautiful seamless join. So we're going to end up having the same on the rear, and that fits nicely. So if we zoom in a little bit, there we go, just reposition the camera slightly. If it'll do it, come on. Oh, it is actually at its... Alright, and then will that focus there? Yeah, so get a pointy stick and break the place whilst I'm at it. So you can see we've got the Edard photo etch bomb bay. That's all been detailed out. I'll see if I can lift that up a little bit, change the angle. Hopefully you can see we've got the radio sets that have all been detailed in there. We've got all the tables, we've got all the ammunition canisters there. The interior's been fully painted out, a little bit of weathering in there. And then if we look at the cockpit, we've got the full cockpit done. So that's an HGW, just let's pan out a little bit, we get a bit more room to, there we go, to maneuver. So that's an HGW seatbelt or harness set in there. The photo etch is in the back of the cockpit. We've got photo etch controls in at the side. This is a resin replacement part here. So the cockpit's pretty much detailed up. Got the canopy glued together, and we've got an Edard mask set on it, and I've had a little bit of fettling work on this, which we've done, and it just takes a little bit of a gentle pop and it goes in nicely. There we go. So the canopy actually fits really, really well. There's going to be a challenge to glue in place, and the reason I haven't actually put it on is because we have to do all these seam work here. So there's had a little bit of what is it? It's this stuff here. I put this on when we actually did it. So this is Mr. Dissolve Putty. So that's filled the bulk of the gaps. That needs sanding back, and then I've got Mr. Surface of 500 to put on. Now underneath these bits of tape are little bits of photo etch that have fallen off that need to be reattached. And if we flip it over, you can see I have been doing a little bit of work off camera. So the full bomb bay is in, and I've been doing a little bit of fairing work here just to fair these photo etch parts in. We've done a little bit of seam work here and here and here, and I've also got the one side of the undercarriage mocked up in the aircraft. Now it's not actually glued in, but it is glued together, and it's just curing. So when I can nip it out, and we'll keep it in position to get it painted, and then I'll put it back in once we've done all the painting on the aircraft. So you can see we've got the seams all here that we're working on at the moment, and the rear fuselage seam I have broken off, unfortunately, the tail wheel, but it's easy enough to fix in. Then armaments. Well, it is supposed to be a bomber, but I actually wonder sometimes when you look at this, the way that Edard's built this, it doesn't look like it can take a normal bomb load. So I'm going to just build some of the bombs separate to it, and we'll get them on a display stand or something, or we'll rack them up in front of them, you know, standing up on end or something like that, just to display them. I'm going to leave the bomb bay open with the bomb bay doors open as well. You get individual bomb bay door hatches from the Edard photo etch set, which I will use. If we look here on the front of the cockpit, you can see all the chain mechanism. Now all this needs a damn good clean, so I'm going to get a little bit of a wet brush in there and clean that off. And then there's a lot of fairing work to go on in here, just where these engine nacelles join. They're not deadly bad, but there's just a little bit of work to do. I've done some of it with Mr. Surfacer over the Mr. Dissolve Putty, which is actually coming out not too bad. But I need to do a little bit more work, and then we're going to need to get a primer coat down just to see where we're at. So this side is reasonably well done. I've done some rescribing in here. This side I've worked on, I've got rescribing to do, and then obviously you can see I'm still working with this, but with the amount of dust that's been created, then I'm really loath to even think about putting the cockpit together, just purely for the fact that if I'm really worried that dust will get into the aircraft and you'll end up with dust inside the glazing, which will look absolutely horrendous, because this model, the glazing on the Heinkel really does show everything off nicely. So that's roughly where we're at with this kit. So the next job to do, which I'm going to do on camera, is I'm going to build this side of the undercarriage up on camera. And then I'll do some of the seam sanding and repair work. We've got the glass for this gondola here to figure out as well. Right, here it is. So this is the H6 version, but I'm actually converting it back to a P version. There's not many differences, and all the parts are in the kit for the P. So this is the actual kit that we're going to be doing. So it's an He111P2 from KG54 Tottenkopf, Germany, spring 1940. So this is a Battle of Britain aircraft, which is what I really want to do. And ideally, I would love to get a hold of the Revell Spitfire Mark 1 Battle of Britain edition, and we can have a Battle of Britain Spitfire along with a Battle of Britain Heinkel 111. If I don't get the Revell one, I may get the Qatari one, and we'll do it that way. But it's a beautifully marked aircraft with this beautiful splinter camouflage, and we've got some very striking markings on the aircraft. And we've got that from an extra decal set, and those will augment the kit decals. So we've got a bag here that I've kept all the glazed parts in. So we've got two different nose options, and we need to go for this option here, which has the small. We've got to mask this off because there's like a crisscross glazing support structure in there, and then the small hole for a single machine gun. There is a bit of damage on this, whether it's a crack or whether it's just a scratch, I'm not actually sure. So we'll need to look at that and get it polished out. Actually looks like a crack, but we'll see. But the other bits we've got to sort out, which is going to take a bit of fettling, is the gondola. So here's the gondola here, and the problem I've got with the gondola is the glazing for this bit didn't come in the kit, because obviously you weren't using this particular part for the H6, because that was the torpedo carrying aircraft, and because we're converting this back to a P, an early war bomber, then we're going to have to do a bit of glue work to get this to fit. So this part actually fits quite well in there, as does this. And what I'm going to have to do is use the white glue trick on these. Either that, or we might be able to get a bit of acetate glued in on the back to put the glazing in. But I'm probably going to go for the white glue trick. I do have some clear PVA glue, which I might be able to use. But all in all, that's, once we get that in, it's going to look pretty spectacular, especially with the guns sticking out from it. And another big job we're going to have to do is actually just clean the existing glazing out. So I'm going to polish the outside of it and then get a cotton bud and clean the inside. So we need to get rid of as much dust as possible. We then got the upper glazing to go on, which, if we look at these painting instructions here, so we've got this glazing to go on as well. But that will all go on this removable piece, which is make it a little bit easier to attach to the aircraft. And then obviously the last thing to do will be putting on the antenna wires and the rangefinder, direction finder there. So I do have a bag with other bits in it, and this is kind of me packing up after we've done a lot of work on it. So we've got the remnants of the interior and exterior photo etch here. So we've got things like strengthening webs, all the MG canister photo etch parts, that we replace that with resin MG canisters. We've got this set here that will be the next set to put on. So this is the exterior hatches set, so that's for all the access panel hatches on the outer surface, which is really nice. And we've got a few extra bits here I'm presuming will be for radiators and wheel wells and whatnot, but I've got to look that one up. And then we've got the rest of the Bombay kit here. So that's got all the individual Bombay doors that need to be folded and glued in place, and a few extra spare pieces. We've got this kit here, which has got, I think this is part of the interior detailing. So we've got some parts for the undercarriage, I think, and we've got some wiring pieces, which I think is for the undercarriage. So I need to check all that. And then we've got this piece here, which is also the remnants of the Bombay kit, and these are like front baffles that come down when the Bombay doors are open. So there's this kit here as well to worry about, and that's the last of the big parts of the photo etch. There is another photo etch set, but that was the harness set, and it's because we've used the HGW harnesses, I don't need to worry about that. Right, we've got here the instrument panel photo etch set. So that's still to go on and be used. So that'll be one of the next jobs to do once we've got the undercarriage done and all the seam work done, and we're ready to think about putting the glazing on and sealing up all the apertures. Well, that'll be when we need to think about putting that set in place. Also, we've got the mask set, which we've already obviously used some of it already. But we'll need to use the rest of this to mask the rest of the exterior glassing. And then I have the propellers already made up, which is nice. So we just need to get the nose cones on and fitted. And then we can think about them for painting as well. So, you know, we really have gotten quite a bit done. We've probably done a lot of the horse work. What we need to focus on now is the finer work of getting all these joints and seams all sanded back. The kit actually goes together reasonably well. The detail on it is really quite nicely. I mean, you could go to the extent of fully riveting this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to rely on my painting ability to get a decent weathered look on this. If you think this is a 1940s aircraft, so the chances are it's going to be in reasonably good nick. It'll be reasonably well maintained, because the Germans were, at that time in the war, were in a position of power, and they had not as much pressure on them as for the likes of the RAF, who were on the back foot defending the country. So maintenance hopefully would have been reasonably well maintained and carried out on these aircraft, so they wouldn't be just beaten up as aircraft were towards the end of the war when the Germans were on the back foot. So I'm going to complete it as a lightly weathered but, you know, reasonably used aircraft. There is loads and loads of parts still on the sprues. Some of them we're obviously going to need, some of them we're not going to need. But I will just take you through each step as we go. So there we go. This is where we're at with this aircraft. Like I said, it is huge. There's no getting around it. It is a massive, massive aircraft. And the one thing you've got to think of when you get a kit like this is, where am I going to put it? And it's a question I've been asking myself for quite a while now, is what am I going to do with it? I'm sure I'll find somewhere. But I'm really, really excited just to have it and just to be working on it. I'm excited to be getting it going again. So watch this space, I would say. I would think by the time we've finished the build series of the border model Spitfire, which when I'm filming this is about a week and a half worth of videos to publish, then I will have gotten a good piece of this done and recorded and up, so we'll get a seamless transition from one build to the next. But I just thought I'd get this particular bit of film done, just to whet your palette and get your modeling mojo geared up for what is going to be a big build, and it's the biggest kit I've ever built, but it's also going to be that big sort of resurrection build, bringing it back from the shelf of doom and actually getting it over the finish line. So there we go, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them down below. I always take the time to read and answer all the comments that are posted, and I'm also very grateful for anyone taking the time to put the comment down there. If you're interested in seeing the rest of my shelf of doom kits, then by all means drop me a line, put it in the comments, shout it out saying, yeah, we want to see what else you've started and not finished. I do have a habit of getting into a building mode and just like building models and make them ready for paint, and then they get put away when I get around to the point of wanting to paint them. So I have a few of kits that I've done ready for paint, but they've stalled out. But yeah, if you want to see that, you can just drop a message down below, and I'll look and see if there's an interest enough to see the rest of my shelf of doom kits. But this is the one that's most important to me at the moment. Revell's 132nd Heinkel He111. Yeah, return from the shelf of doom. Take care, guys, and we'll see you soon.